everybody, welcome back to Keto Kitchen Chaos with Jackie. I hope you're doing good today. So thank you for checking out what we're going to be making for dinner tonight. So this is going to be a little bit of a process because I have to make a couple of different things. What we're going to have tonight, though, I'm very excited, is a ricotta bake with tomato sauce and Italian sausage, and I'm going to serve that over zoodles. So normally this recipe actually wouldn't take that long because the ricotta bake is pretty simple. The zoodles won't take very long. The longest part of this is going to be the tomato sauce. Well, it'll be long on my part. I'm not going to make you hang out for hours while it simmers on this stove. But I'm really excited to share this with you. So again, I'm going to make my homemade tomato sauce, which is what I use for any Italian type dishes that I make. I store this in the freezer. I take it out. It's great. It's there. Unfortunately, I don't have any in the freezer, but that's okay because, like I said, I can make that for you tonight. So this recipe, the sauce recipe, stems from a friend of mine. Her name is Dawn. I haven't seen Dawn in probably 20 years or more. I'm not even sure where she's living, but Dawn, if you're out there, hi and thank you. She was my vegetarian friend way back in the day. And I used to go to her house for lunch. We worked together, and she had served me this tomato sauce, and it was the best I'd ever had. At that point, I mean, I was in my early 20s. I think the only sauce I'd really ever had was out of a jar. So I didn't know that you could make your own. So I have kind of tweaked it and made it my own. I add some more things than she had, but it is still the base recipe. I still have the note that she wrote me, the ingredients that she used. She's also the first person that turned me on to tofu. So, all right, guys. So enough of my blubber blabber. Let's go ahead and get this started. I'm going to show you the ingredients. I'm going to get them chopped up and get them started simmering on the stove. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do that, okay? All right, let's go play. Oh, I probably shouldn't be wearing white today, but I love this shirt. Let the shenanigans begin. Okay, so I have our cast of characters laid out for our sauce recipe. There's not a lot, I don't think. I think it's a pretty basic recipe, but we have our base vegetables. So I have celery, onions, and some peppers. I will let you know how much of that I actually use once I start chopping it. I also have a bunch of garlic because I love garlic. Thankfully, my family does too. So we're going to cook up those vegetables in some olive oil. And then we have some tomatoes. I have tomato sauce and diced tomatoes because this is what I had in the cupboard. A lot of times I will just pull out whatever. So crushed tomatoes, stewed tomatoes. What I will do is the diced tomatoes, I'm actually going to put those in my Ninja and I'll puree those so it'll also be like the tomato sauce. Be careful when you're buying canned tomatoes or tomato sauce that you get the ones that don't have any sugar or high fructose corn syrup. I actually had a can. I'm not sure where it came from. I don't know how long it's been in there, but when I was looking at the ingredients, the second ingredient was high fructose corn syrup. So I put that to the side. We're not going to be using that. So yeah, so just be careful. We also have a little bit of baking soda. That's a little trick that she showed me. It helps with the acid in the tomatoes, and then a whole bunch of seasonings. So again, not sure if I'm going to use all of those. Probably will, but I've got parsley, basil, Italian seasoning, oregano, and some salt and pepper. The other little trick, something that I added to the sauce, is I always like to add a little bit of chicken broth or chicken bouillon just to kind of help up the flavor a little bit. So I took a little container of that out of the freezer. That is just about a half a cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start chopping everything, and then, like I said, I'll let you know how much of everything that I use. All right, so we're going to start cooking here in just a minute, but I had to show you these beautiful vegetables. It looks so pretty on the cutting board. I just had to share it with you. Ah, there's a gnat. Sorry. So what I have is half of a red pepper and half of a green pepper, 5 big stalks, or very long stalks of celery. I have 3/4 of an onion, just a white onion, and 10 cloves of garlic. I know, it's a lot of garlic, but again, we're making a big pot of sauce, and I just love garlic. So again, I just kind of wanted to show that to you. We're going to go ahead and get the pot going and start adding all our vegetables. To our pot, we are going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And the reason we're adding 2 tablespoons is because we have a whole lot of vegetables. So I'm just covering the bottom of my pan. The other reason I use olive oil for this is that I just like the background flavor that it brings. Anytime I cook Italian, that's the oil that I use. We're going to turn our burner on low. So just a little bit above low, just enough so I can heat my oil up. We don't want to brown the vegetables. We are just going to be sauteing them. Now that our oil has heated up just a little bit, I've had it on there for about 30-45 seconds. We're going to start adding our vegetables. So we're very carefully going to add these, and hopefully we don't lose any. So let me see here. All right, you know what? Oh, we're just going to end up making a mess if I do that. Okay, anyways, so I'm adding all of the vegetables at the same time. And the reason I'm doing that is even if they might have a different cook time, I have chopped them all so they're pretty uniform in size. So they'll cook about the same. Also, I'm putting the garlic in, and we're doing that now because, again, we're going to do this at a very low temperature so that flavor will really go well. I don't have to worry about it burning. So it'll be all good. So make sure you get every little scrap in there. Now the other thing we're going to do with our vegetables is we are going to puree these so that you're not going to have big chunks of vegetables in your sauce. But it will, what pureeing them does is it helps with the flavor, and it also will thicken our sauce. So we're just going to go ahead and start sauteing these down a little bit. Just give them a little mix here. Everybody's in the pool. Now these are probably going to simmer or I say simmer, but they're going to saute about 10 minutes. I really want them to be soft. I want all of the flavors to get together in there. I'm not going to add any seasonings to them yet. I'm just going to kind of let them pretty much just hang out in the pot and do their thing. I'll show you what they look like and exactly how much time it took me to get them to where I want them to be. It's been about 6 minutes and we are just sweating our vegetables out here. They're looking wonderful. It smells really good in here. What I forgot to tell you, and I almost forgot to add, was we are going to add 2 bay leaves. I just lost one. There's one. Oh, I'm going to give this one a little rinse. We don't need to have any extra soapy here in our food. Okay, I totally forgot about that, guys. I'm so sorry. This is just a trick that Rachel Ray actually did. Again, you know, I'm a Food Network person, and this is something that she always did, was she added the bay leaves to the vegetables while they were sauteing. So I threw them in there now. It's okay. So we're going to go ahead and start seasoning our vegetables, and just for the vegetables, I'm going to do some salt and pepper. We're going to wait to add our Italian seasonings for when we put our tomatoes in. So I'm going to go in with about a teaspoon of salt and some cracked black pepper. Again, if you've watched any of my videos, you know we go a little bit crazy over pepper. So I like to do quite a bit of it. Just use your best judgment on this, okay? Now the tomatoes that I'm using do not have salt added to them, so I'm probably going to need to add a little bit more salt than normal, and that's okay. It'll give us a chance to just make it to the way that we like it. We'll keep tasting it until it's just perfect. So let's see, we're up to, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes now. These are looking really good, but I want them to be a little bit more done so that they'll puree nicely. So I think I'm going to let them go for another 5 minutes and we'll check back. All right, so we have been cooking our vegetables for about 15 minutes. They are perfect. So they're nice and soft and they're ready to be pureed. So what I'm going to do is I will take one of those cans of diced tomatoes. I will add that to the vegetable mixture and I'm going to puree those up in my Ninja, and then we're going to add everything back to the pot. All right, so we let our vegetables cool. I put them in my Ninja, but you could use a food processor or a blender with just a little bit of the tomato, and I processed that up. Still going to be a little bit chunky, but not that much so. Again, this is really going to thicken up our soup, our tomato sauce. Now, if you wanted to, you could, of course, leave some of the vegetables whole in there. There's some little bits of onion and stuff in there, and that'll be fine. But I don't know, when I'm having tomato sauce, I don't necessarily want to have bites of vegetable, because then again, that reminds me of soup. That's probably why I said that. So I'm just going to go ahead and puree up the other can of tomatoes. One of the things I forgot to tell you guys was take out your bay leaves before you puree your vegetables. I just threw those back into the sauce. And this is that other can of tomatoes that I put through the Ninja because I didn't have enough crushed tomato or tomato sauce in the cupboard. So the reason, I like to show you that is even though you might not have the exact ingredients, if you have any kind of tomatoes, you can use them. You're just going to puree them up so that they're the consistency of tomato sauce. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and carefully add all of our tomatoes into our pot, and then we're going to go ahead and get that simmering. Now that we have all of our tomatoes back into our pan, I put the heat back on very low. We're going to actually be simmering this for about 3 to 4 hours. That is just going to meld all of those flavors together, get rid of any canned taste that you might have from the canned tomatoes. That is, of course, the downside of not having fresh tomatoes. Now, in that regards, I have made this with fresh tomatoes. It is pretty much the same thing. I just peel my tomatoes. When you do that by putting them in hot water and then cold water, and you just peel the skin, and then I throw them into the food processor. And the reason I do the food processor for those is because, of course, I have a lot more. Now, the other thing, I don't think I told you, each of these cans were 15 ounces. So that came out to 60 ounces of tomatoes. So like if you have the big things of tomatoes, you'll have an idea of how much we used. So the first thing I want to do is I actually want to taste it because I want to see where we are on our salt level. I think only 2 of the cans had a little salt in them. The other 2 were unsalted. So okay, so I'm actually not even going to add any. And the reason I'm not is because I'm going to go ahead and add that chicken broth, which I almost forgot about. Just again to add a little flavor. And it also has some salt, although not a lot. When I make my homemade chicken broth, I don't add a lot of salt to the broth as I'm making it. I usually wait until I add it to whatever I'm going to be making, again, just so I can control the salt content. So we're going to let that melt in there. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and start adding some of our Italian seasonings. We're just going to do a base layer, and then after we let it cook for about an hour, I will check it and see if we need to add more. So the first thing I'm going to do is go in with some Italian seasoning, putting it into the palm of my hand. We're going to do about a teaspoon. Again, this is a Rachel Ray trick that I learned a long time ago. And then we're just going to kind of smush it together. That helps release some of the oils. It breaks it up a little bit. Oh, you can already smell it. That's wonderful. All right, so a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. I'm also going to do a teaspoon of oregano just because I really love oregano. So same thing, just going to throw that there in the palm of my hand, measure out about a teaspoon. Again, we're just going to kind of smush that and let that go in. And then I think I'm also going to go in with a little extra basil. I got to make sure I put the lids on so that I know which is which. And again, these seasonings are already found in the Italian seasoning mix, but I like to add a little bit of extra. So again, just kind of do it to your taste buds. You do not have to follow this exact. Also, if you have fresh herbs, which in the summer I do not now, you can use those in place of. Sometimes you have to do a little bit more because the dried version is a little stronger in flavor. And those I don't actually add until I'm closer to the finished product, so about the last half hour of cooking, just because they tend to cook down too much. I don't think I'm going to add any parsley flake. I think we're just going to kind of go with that right now. And guys, that's all there is to it. Again, I'm not going to make you watch. I'm going to be simmering this down, and I will come back and let you know how I proceed from here, because we're going to be adding some Italian sausage to some of this for dinner tonight. All right, guys, I'll see you in a little bit. Hey guys, all right, so I almost forgot to add the baking soda to our pan of tomatoes. So it is 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I have 1 teaspoon, and we are just going to dump that here into our tomatoes. Can you see? Wait, I know the camera's at a weird angle, sorry. Okay, and then I'm just gonna stir that around. And I'm also gonna put the lid on this, otherwise I'm gonna have tomatoes all over the house. So sorry, just wanted to make sure I threw that in there. So we've been cooking our sauce on the stove now for about an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and get the Italian sausage started that we're going to be adding to the sauce for dinner tonight. So this is just linked hot Italian sausage. Normally I would use mild just because two of the people in our household aren't big on spicy. But I got this for 99 cents. One of our stores, they had a bunch of stuff that was going out of date. So I bought some different sausages and just threw them into the freezer. So this is one that I had. I'm hoping that with the ricotta bake, because that doesn't have any spice to it, and of course our tomato sauce, that it won't be too spicy. So don't tell George, okay? So just a quick little tutorial on how we're going to do this. I want to take the sausage out of the casing. So all I'm going to do is take my knife and I'm going to cut through the casing. And then we're going to peel that away. And you have ground sausage. Ta-da! I'm putting that into my cold skillet. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's on low because I moved the sauce over to there. So I'm just going to put that in and then we're going to break it up. So I'm going to fry this up and then it'll be ready to add to our sauce whenever it's done. All right, just wanted to show you real quick how I break up my sausage when it's in lengths like that. So I start by doing it with my wooden spoon and I just go in and just kind of break it up a little bit, try to get it a little bit brown, flip it over and kind of do the same thing. And then what I do, I don't know if you have one of these or if you've seen one. This is a hamburger masher spatula. But what it is, it's great because if you use this, excuse me, I don't know where my voice is. This actually will break it up into small chunks and it is wonderful. One of the channels that I watch, it's Keto Jinja. I'll put a link down below to her channel. She's great. I've been watching her for a while. She follows a keto lifestyle. She has a family. Her and her husband Dan do videos, and they're always entertaining, and she cooks a lot like I do, but she's the one that introduced me to this lovely little gadget. I got it at Walmart. She calls it a spatulator, and she has a little song that she sings when she uses it. I'm not going to do it because, again, I don't know what's going on with my voice, but I'm a little crackly, probably from all these stupid, the pollen and all the allergies. But it's really great. I don't use it on the raw meat at first because it gets caught up in here. But if I let it start to cook a little bit and then use it, it breaks it up really nice. So just a little tidbit. I'm going to go ahead and finish cooking this. All right, guys, so the sauce has been cooking about an hour and a half. I did give it another taste. I added just a pinch of salt to it. It tastes delicious. I cannot wait for you to try this. So I've already taken half of it out and I'm letting it cool. I'm going to put it in the freezer. And to this, I'm going to add that sausage that I made. So I'm going to use a slotted spoon. I'm going to put this into my sauce. I'm going to leave any of the fat in the pan because that's what I'm going to cook my zoodles in. I'll only cook those for a minute or so, but I want to make sure that I save that for them. So we're just going to add that and then we're going to let this simmer for about another hour. Okay guys, so we're on to our next step. We are going to be making some zoodles. This is a spiralizer. If you have not seen one, this is what it looks like. It has a little blade contraption that goes here. I have 3 different ones. There's a larger spaghetti size one, a smaller one. It just makes smaller spaghetti size pieces, and then also one that does strips. So all you do is you take your zucchini and you cut off both of the ends. And I always put the larger end on here. It has a little doodad there that you just kind of shove it in there. And then you take the spiky end and you put it in the other end. And then the fun part is you just turn the handle. Oh, I should put some under that. And it creates zucchini noodles. Now, I've had this one for about 7 or 8 years. I bought it on Amazon. You can get them anywhere now, though. They're very popular. But there you go. And then I like to kind of break them up so that they're not so large. But that is how we do zoodles. I am going to do these about an hour before dinner is ready. I'm putting them on a paper towel. This will just help get some of that excess moisture off so they won't be quite as soggy when I throw them in the pan. All right, I'm going to finish this up and yeah, I'll see you on the next step. Hey, just a quick little side note, guys. This is what happens when I have too much time to think about it. So this is the part of the zucchini you have left after you spiralize it, but don't waste it. I cut it up into little small pieces and I add it to whatever I'm using. So I'm just going to throw this in the tomato sauce. Now, if you were having this with maybe some sauteed vegetables or something, you could just throw it in there, but I just wanted to share that with you. Also, if you don't have a spiralizer and you don't want to buy one, they sell spiralized vegetables in the produce section as well as the freezer section. So, just a side note. Okay. All right, guys, we're on our next to last step for dinner tonight. So, we're going to be making the ricotta bake. So, what this is, it's going to be 2 cups of ricotta cheese. So I use full fat ricotta, so I'm just going to put that into the bowl. All right, and there is our 2nd cup of ricotta. Now this also has 2 eggs that go in it, and normally I would go ahead and beat the eggs and then add everything to it, but I want to be able to taste this, so we're going to mix everything together. We'll taste it, we'll make sure our seasonings are good, and then we'll go ahead and add our beaten eggs. Again, I just, like I said, want to be able to do that. Ricotta has no real flavor to it, so we just want to make sure we have enough seasoning. Okay, so we have 2 cups of ricotta, and then to that we're going to add a cup of shredded Parmesan. So whatever kind of Parmesan cheese you have. Again, this is one, it's already shredded, that I keep in the freezer because I make those keto bagels a lot, and it calls for Parmesan. So I always keep some in the freezer, whether it's a block or already shredded. It kind of is whatever's on sale. And so we're just going to throw that there. And I'm going to keep this bowl because this is what I'll beat the eggs in. All right. So to that, we are going to be adding some seasonings. So we're going to have some garlic powder. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. We're just going to go in with a good sprinkle. We're also going to do some onion powder. Same thing. Just kind of go across. So this will be, to whatever you like. We're just going to be kind of futzing and tasting and seeing. It kind of is reminiscent of the filling for lasagna. So this is almost like a deconstructed lasagna, if you want to look at it maybe that way. So some fresh cracked black pepper. Oh, that's getting a little rough. And then we're going to go in with a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. So again, I'm just going to throw that there in my palm. Give that a little smudge. All right. I'm going to add that. Oh, and then, of course, we're going to go in with some salt. Now, this I am going to kind of sort of measure. We're going to do the same palm deal with that. Well, can't get the lid off. So we're going to add about a teaspoon of salt. So this is that Himalayan pink salt that I like to use. So whatever salt you have, like I said, whatever seasonings, it's all good. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and give that a stir, and then we're going to taste it. All right, I think it still needs a little extra seasoning. I gave it a little taste after I stirred it up. So we're going to go in with a little bit of oregano. I just, that is the one thing that I have found whenever I eat lasagna, or not that I've eaten lasagna in a very long time, but before, in my past life, is that the ricotta filling never had a lot of flavor. Now, it was cheesy and it was lovely, a little bit more garlic powder, but I just like things to have more flavors. You have to layer all of your flavors together. So that's kind of what I'm going for here. So again, however you like it, maybe you like it more just for the creamy texture of it or the cheesiness. Maybe you also are a big flavor person like me. So whatever your preference is. So we're just going to give that another stir, and then we'll give it another taste before we add our eggs. Don't let me forget to add the eggs. All right, so that tastes pretty good. So now what we're going to do is add our eggs. So I beat up 2 eggs in my container that I already had emptied. Like I said, and that was, again, the reason I did that was definitely wanted to make sure we tasted it. All right, so now we're just going to mix this around, and then I'm going to put that into my casserole dish that I have sprayed with the coconut cooking spray. I'm going to put that, or no, okay, we're going to do that. Hold on. Guys, I'm so silly. I almost forgot to tell you the most important part. We have to top this with cheese. Yeah. So, anyways, so I have that here in our pan. I got the oven preheating to 400. And now, for the best part, now normally I would just do this with mozzarella. I would do a cup of mozzarella, but I don't have any extra block mozzarella to shred, and I just had a tiny little bit that I had thrown in the freezer. So this is about a half a cup. So we're gonna add that to there. And then to shake it up a little bit, and because again, I just don't have a lot of cheese in the house, I have to put that on my list whenever I go to the store the next time. I have a little bit of Colby Jack. So I figure why not? So we're gonna put another handful of that on here, and that'll just be a little extra flavor, right? All right, so I'm gonna put this in the oven. It's gonna go for probably about 25-30 minutes until it's nice and bubbly, and hopefully a little brown here around the edges with the cheese. We'll take that out, we'll let it cool. I'm gonna show you how to cook your zoodles, and then we're gonna assemble and eat dinner. All right, guys, I'll see you in a bit. Ah, the final step, the final frontier. Okay, guys, we're going to cook up our zoodles. So I have that pan that I cooked the Italian sausage in, just kind of heating up that oil a little bit that was left in it. These are our zucchini noodles that have been drying on the paper towel. So I'm just going to sprinkle them with a little bit of that Sazon. That's my wonderful seasonal that I love to use. So you don't have this, that's fine. Use whatever you want, whatever you have on hand, but definitely season them. Remember, you want to season every layer of food. Okay, so we're going to throw those in. All right. So my oil is starting to heat up a little bit. I have it just a little under medium. This is going to go quick and fast. We do not want to overcook these. It really only takes a couple of minutes, guys. So we're going to go in. I did break these up a little bit. So just so you know. So everybody's going to go into the pool here. Oop. So we're just tossing them around here in the pan. Just kind of getting some of that sausage fat that's on the bottom. Again, just a little bit extra flavor. Sophie's coming over because she wants to see what we're doing and see if Mommy drops anything. So like I said, I'm only going to cook these for about 2 minutes. The reason is they get a little soggy, even though they have been drying on the paper towels. Zucchini has a lot of water in it, and I don't want to sog them out. When they're done, after I get them to the consistency that I want, where they're just like a little wilted, I'm going to throw a spoonful of sauce in, and then we're going to go ahead and coat them just like you would if you were making regular noodles. All right, so that's where we're going to pick up again. Been cooking for a minute. We're going to go ahead and we are just going to take a spoonful of our sauce over here. We're going to try really hard not to make a mess. I'll probably actually do a couple of spoonfuls. We want to cover our noodles. I'm going to turn the heat off on the zucchini because they are cooked just a little bit. Like I said, they'll still have a little bit of texture, kind of like an al dente pasta. And we're going to go ahead and stir that around. Now, doesn't that look wonderful? Oh, guys, I'm so excited for this. Now, you can see there's already a little bit of water in the pan. That's why I think it's really important to try to dry them out the best that you can. Although, again, it's such a watery vegetable, you just can't do it all the way. This is the other reason why I don't do zucchini lasagna anymore. I used to try it, but I always ended up with this pile or this puddle of tomato water on the bottom of the dish. So this is, like I said, kind of like a deconstructed one. Okay, so our ricotta bake is out of the oven, and I'm going to show you that. Ta-da! Okay, there's the ricotta bake, and you can see how nice and brown and crispy it got. I threw just a little bit of parsley on top to give it a little bit of color. And then our tomato sauce is looking divine. Let me just show you that, if you can see it. It smells wonderful. It tastes delicious. So we're going to go ahead and plate this up, and what I'm going to do is we're going to put some zoodles down, a little bit of the ricotta bake, and then a little bit more tomato sauce. So I'll see you in a minute. We're going to give it a taste and make sure everything is delicious. All right, gang, so all of our components are done, finally. It's been a really long day for me. Hopefully this video doesn't run too long. I've tried to shorten it as much as I could, but dinner is ready. It looks so good. Now, I've tasted everything apart to make sure all the flavors were there, but I've not put it all together, so we're gonna do that real quick. So I have some zoodles, some ricotta bake, and some of that lovely sauce. And I will tell you again, that zucchini, there's like a little puddle of water, tomato water at the bottom of my plate, but it'll be okay. I'll use a spoon, it'll be fine. All right, here we go. Okay. There you go. Keto Italian dinner. you're craving Italian takeout, yeah, all right. I don't have any words. All right, guys, that is really good. And sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top if you have it. Oh, but yeah, that's wonderful. All right, so the fam and I are going to go eat some dinner. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you again for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so. Just hit that little button down there. Also, there's a bell. You can hit that, and that'll let you know whenever I upload a video. I try to do that on Sundays, but of course it varies, and you know, you just never know. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you like this, and I'll keep trying to make more for you. All right, guys, be good to each other. Keep smiling. Hang in there. We can do this, okay? All right. Peace. Love you. Good night.